Hi, Marianne and Kelly. You guys are the lucky first two people to hear me give a Zoom training, so please bear with me as this is just my first time. So for Docusign, the first thing, I don't know, have you already connected your account? Do you want to go through that process?
I'm connected. I don't know.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I think Kelly is too. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then what we'll do is we'll get right into Docusign. So first, right now, see, I have a little message saying my profile is incomplete. So why don't we go into the profile here? Do you guys want to look at the minus the profile part? Have you done that?
I'd say go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let's take a quick look. So here, I haven't added my picture yet, so we can take. I don't think I took anything here. Let's just randomly go for that. So I'm not sure if your clients actually see the profile picture, or is that just for us? Do you know that, Erin?
I would think that it would show up in their email when you send them something.
Yeah. So yeah, so you want to, I guess, just put your regular corporate headshot. And then here, I know for sure they will see your name and your email address. So I work with my husband as a team, so we just put Robert Realty Team, but you can put whatever you want as your realtor name or your team name. The email address here they'll see as well. Address and phone number, I don't think you really need to put. If you want, I guess you could put the Bedford office one, but I don't think that's really anything that's necessary. So it's really just your picture and your name and email address, knowing that it will be client facing. So let me just go back here. So that would be for the profile. And I guess I didn't save. Okay, sorry. So then the main thing here is going to be your dashboard. That's what your screen will be here. It's just all your recent activities, whether it be the rooms or recent signings. You can see what I've had recently signed here. So that's just where you'll be sent to when you first log in. So we start with the rooms. The rooms are basically your transaction. So if you have a listing, you're going to create a room. If you have an offer on that same listing, you can stay in that same room, but anytime it's a different transaction, then you'll want to have with different clients, you want to have a different room. So what you can do here is we'll start a new room at the top right. So the room name, I would recommend just putting the name of the transaction. So, 123 Apple Drive. Might want to put your client's name as well, however you prefer to organize it, but whatever way you're going to quickly know what it is. So your role, say in this time, so we're always the agent owner, but are you on the list side, the buy side? So in this case, let's go for a listing. We'll change to Canada, and a picture, you can put a picture. If it's a listing, usually I'll put like whatever the hero shot is for our listing, just for quick visual reference, but that's completely up to you. It's not necessary for your organization. And feel free to stop me at any time if I'm going too fast or if you have a question.
What are you putting in photo? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, the photo is just for you. So when you go to your dashboard, you'll see like every room has a picture if you want. So let me just go back to the dashboard here. So if it's a listing, for example, I would put like the main listing photo. So you can see here,
Okay.
Here, Larder Lake, but some of them it's just going to be the house icon. I don't do it all the time. It's completely up to you how you want to be able to easily reference your rooms in the dashboard.
And how do you pull that photo in?
So let's go right now. You can just upload it basically from your computer.
If you've got it in your downloads, you can.
Exactly.
I've never tried it, so just don't know.
Yeah, so let's do that together. Let's see if it'll let me do that again. Let's just go and do a new room. Let's do that together.
I think if you just press edit at the top, you'll be able to do it.
Thank you, Erin.
No worries.
Sorry for the back and forth. Oh, I see. So right here, okay, yeah. So in the room name, where you see the little house icon, there's the edit button. And then you can just click change image and take anything from your computer. So just go like that. You can crop it if you want. And there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the room, for the details, I don't really fill everything out. The MLS ID, the address, things like that. It's not really necessary. One thing I would recommend doing though is editing, if you click here on edit and add the information for anybody that is going to be signing these documents. Because because down the line, you don't want to have to keep manually entering their email address and their name. You'll just be able to pull from anybody in that room, and it just makes it a lot easier down the line, as I discovered after doing it manually for a little while. So here, what you want to do is add your seller. So I'll just put myself, I'll put James as a seller.
You can use me too if you want. I can sign stuff.
Oh, thank you, Erin. So, oh, I'm sorry, that's the name here. And then email address. You don't really need the cell phone number or anything like that. You know, this is strictly for signing purposes. So you just need their name, their email address. So we'll have one seller here, seller 2, so Erin. And I should know your email address by heart, Erin, but I don't.
It's agent services hfx@kw.com.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then listing agents. So I'll put myself. So you want to put yourself as a listing agent and the buying agent, because you are signing certain documents like the seller designated brokerage agreement. So it's good to put yourself there or for any amendment down the line. So that's all I would say to put in the details. We can press save here. Okay, so now we have our room for our listing on Apple Tree Drive. And now what we want to do is we want to send the listing paperwork to our sellers to sign. So what you do is you go into envelopes. So your envelope is basically every time you need a new signature or a new batch of signatures, you're going to create a new envelope. For example, you'll have one envelope for the initial listing paperwork, but then down the line, if there's an amendment to do, then that will have to be in a new envelope. And then if there's, I don't know, termination, that would again be a new envelope. And what's important here, so we'll go to make a new one, is the way that you name it. Because down the line, you have certificates for your signatures, and you want to make sure that you can easily see what certificate goes with what paperwork. So I would recommend always, what I do is I just kind of copy the envelope name. So you always have the listing name or the buyer name, and then say what this envelope is. So in this case, it would be listing paperwork.
So you would do a new envelope if you were doing an amendment to that particular file?
Yeah, because you can correct me if I'm wrong, Erin, but I think once everything in the envelope has been signed, that envelope becomes sealed and you can't add new documents to it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think of it as like real mail, once you put an envelope in the mailbox to be sent, you can't add anything else to it.
Okay.
Okay.
So it goes in the same room, different envelope.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah. So right now, so we named the envelope. So to add a document, there's a few different ways. When we were in, I can show you that after, if we were in the room, there was a place where you could just add all the documents there. I typically just go straight to the envelope and upload it from my computer. So you click on that little more button and the upload here. So let me find the ones that you can see all the shows I'm watching here. So Erin, thank you for getting those documents. I have them here. So
No worries.
here we go. So you can select more than one at a time if you want by shifting all of them. And they'll open as 3 separate documents. Now, if you want to reorder them, because there is obviously an order to how things need to be signed, like the working with the real estate agent industry has to always be signed before. So let's say it's uploaded the wrong way, you can just drag here with your cursor and drag and drop into the right order, and then it'll sign in that order.
Did you have those forms in templates, or did you go to web forms to get them?
Those were downloaded from web forms.
So you had them in downloads, but okay. So if you had to go right to web forms to find those documents, would you do the same thing? How do you do that?
Yeah, I would. So in web forms, I would just do save as PDF, and then I save it in my downloads or on my desktop, and then I would upload them as we did here.
Okay, so you can't go to web forms and bring them in directly.
There is a way in web forms, I would have to double check, where you can send it straight to Docusign.
Oh, I can, yeah, okay, I can do that.
So there is a way to do it. You can, in web forms, you can click send to Docusign. But when you do, so there's 2 versions of Docusign. There's the Rooms version, which is what we're in right now. And then there's a kind called e-signature. And there's not really any organization to it. There's no like rooms, so there's no lumping things together that belong together. And when you send it directly from web forms into Docusign, it puts it into the e-signature side. So it wouldn't be in the room.
Okay, that's the only thing I've been doing. That's the only thing I've been doing so far.
Yeah.
Not.
You definitely
I
can
just
do
go right
that.
to an envelope. I go to Docusign, I go right to an envelope and pull a downloaded whatever amendment.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There are so many different ways to use Docusign. It's hard to teach because we can't teach them all at the same time, or else everyone will just end up super confused.
So can you explain to me why we want to do the rooms and things? Is this for documentation and just for keeping everything in a place, or?
Yeah, it basically lumps everything, keeps everything together that belongs together. It's way more organization to it.
Yeah, so down the road, if you need to, retrieve different documents or in the same room, everything's kind of the same place, easy to find. I think I tried it from web forms once, but I prefer this way because everything's under one place, like Erin said, and it's just really easy.
It's up to you which way you use it.
Yeah. So we have our 3 documents here in the envelope. So what we do here is you want to add a recipient. So the recipient is anybody that needs to sign. So if you do it like I said, we do the room participants here because otherwise we'd have to manually add your name and email every time that we want someone to sign. So we just go to room participants. You can just choose from who's here already. So we know we have our seller, both our sellers that need to sign, and the listing agent I would need to sign too. So we would just add them in. And then, so the clients, I usually just copy paste the envelope name, and that's what I put as the title for the email subject, and just a quick note that the clients will see. Listing paperwork, forget the typos. And then what you do, if you're ready for them to sign, well, to start putting the signatures there.
Can I stop you again? When you wrote that message, does your signature come up on that when they get it, or it just shows like it's an email that's coming?
Yeah, it just shows the title and the body of the email.
Okay.
Yeah. So now this part can be a little bit slow when it loads up, depending on how many papers you have in here. You can go right here in the Zoom and adjust the size to what you find is best. And then, so what you do is just keep scrolling down until you see the places where somebody needs to initial. So right now, this is the working with real estate. So this is where both of our sellers would have to sign. So we have Erin and James as our sellers. So everybody's color coded, as you can see here, which really makes it easy when you're scrolling through at the end and you want to do that last check to make sure you're not missing anything. You can see if all the colors are where they need to be. I find it a lot easier to double check than, for example, dot loop that I used to use. So we'll start, I tend to go in, whatever you prefer. You can either put all of your sellers right away on each page. I kind of go through one person's role on all the paperwork, then the next person's role. So it's really whatever you prefer and find is best. So right now we need to add the initial. So we'll just click on this little initial button here. And then you see when I move my cursor onto here, the initial box is coming with it. And then you just click wherever you want to put it. So what I would do is then I would do Control C so I can copy it. And then I'm going to scroll down to the next place where Erin or our seller would need her initial. So I just kind of scroll. That's the signature. Here's where we need an initial. And when you do Control V, it'll actually put the initial box in the same spot as where it was in the last page. So another little thing that I find comes in handy.
Nicole, can I jump in for 1 sec?
Absolutely.
So if you go back to the first page, if you put both my initial and James's initial there, where they're needed.
You copy both at the same time?
Yeah, so if you click on one box and then hold down Shift and click on the other, it will put a red box around both of them, I believe.
Yeah.
And now if you do Control C and then Control V, it will copy and paste both.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome. So also if you're putting the date signed fields for each, it'll, like that would be 4 fields, so it would save some more time.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, oh, that brings up a good point, Erin. So I don't always do it, but when you have your initials, so for the certificate, they need to know what time it was done, and the signature, normally we always add the date where we add a signature, but we don't for the initials. So if you want, you can add the date next to the initial, and that way you won't have to send your certificate to admin. So it depends if you want to take a little bit of extra time now to add the dates next to every initial, or if you want to just go through at the end and find that certificate to send. So let's shift. Okay, so let's go there. Oops, sorry, I don't think I copied. Okay. Oh, so there they all are here. So more initials. Oh, I put it on the other page, that's why. So here are more initials. So this would be the signature. So we wait for that. Then we would have our addendum that doesn't have initials. So Pluto's doghouse. I like the lockbox location. So then I would do the same for the signatures. So we have here with the date, our other seller signature with the date. So we'll copy these and add these anytime the seller needs their signature this time. So it follows where it was in the last page, so we just need to move it over here. I mean, you don't have to put it exactly where it says date as long as it's there, but
yeah.
So now in this case, we would also need the brokerage representative. So Erin, I have you as a seller. So in yeah, so I would be the agent. So I would also add my signature here in purple with the date. So this would be the only time I would need to see the purples. When I'm going back to look through everything, I just have to make sure that I have the purple here and that everything else has a yellow and a blue initial or signature. bottom. So I forgot to copy paste from before, so we will just add the signature here.
And just a note too, you can make the signature boxes smaller if they don't really fit.
Yeah, that's true. So there's always the little, if you kind of put your cursor over one of the circles, you can make it bigger or smaller. Oh, just smaller, not bigger.
Yeah, it comes in at the largest.
Okay. There you go. Put it in like that. And then just put the date. So that's just your main functions for initialing and signing. But I want to show you a couple of other things. Let's say, for example, the checkbox. So to save you some
Just go
frustration.
back to that one for a second, Nicole. You don't have to put the date next to that one because it's got a date above it. Am I correct? Signed and sealed this such and such a day, so it's one date and they both sign.
Yeah, but I think we would actually, and Erin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's for the digital certification that admin needs for compliance.
Yeah, you're right. So anytime that there's a signature with an electronic program, there has to be the electronic date signed.
So one is not good enough if there's just one seller. If there's two sellers, but if there's one seller, that you would do it above.
No, you still need to put that field that Nicole brought over, because that automatically puts in the date and time that they actually signed.
But if you didn't fill it in, they're filling it in, it's going to be the time that they had it in their hands and signed it.
Well, you could put the date signed field above, but it would have to be the date signed field, not like a type box, because they could type it.
Exactly. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you mean. You could just put the date sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then add the second one next to it here, the other one. Yeah. Yeah. And so that brings me to one of the other things. If we did, let's say, you know, you download everything in web forms, you bring it into Docusign and realize, oh shoot, either another web forms glitch, something disappeared, or you forgot to populate something, you can just go into text. If you want to add text to the form, it doesn't matter whose role you're under, whether it's the seller, yourself, it really doesn't matter. You just put in the text box here, and then go all the way over to the right, see under James Robert under text, just unclick required field, because we're just adding it in, it's not required for them. And either right here in this box to the left or straight in the text box here, you can add, so let's say we want to add the date, today is the 23rd of March. So that's, I'm a little lost today. That's another way that you can add text into the web forms. Sorry, Docusign.
Just keep in mind the way that you just did that, James, your seller, would be able to change the text.
Oh,
which we usually don't want them to do. So you should put it, either check off read only, then it kind of just forces them to read it, or put it as your text box, not your client's.
Oh, thank you. I didn't realize that.
So the read only still allows them to put in their automatic everything that you requested. They just can't change any text.
Right. So the menu that Nicole has open right there on the right is for that text box. That's what's clicked on.
Yeah.
So checking off read only, it basically, you know, when you're signing with this program and it jumps to signature to signature to signature.
Yep.
It will jump to that text box, which kind of forces them to read it.
Yes.
Right. But they can't, if you check off read only, then they can't do anything to it.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. So I'll revise my earlier statement. You'll want to go under your role for adding the text box. Then if you need to add a checkbox, let's say we want to add that here, you need to double click. So just letting you know, because I spent a lot of time being frustrated wondering why it wasn't clicking. And just trying to see, oh, another thing that you might want to do, so let's say there's a clause that you want to, well, it wouldn't necessarily be in here, it would be more like in an agreement, but let's say you need to scratch out a clause and add their initial. So what we'd want to do here is on the side, you're going to see markup tools. So I'm going to go under myself, since I suppose that might be the same case here. So you click under markup, and then you can get a line. So when you click on that, the line is going to follow your mouse, and you can do it in the shape that you want. So let's say this was something, oh, sorry, and then you got to do that again. So I'm putting it in an X. I could also just draw a straight line across, so you can direct that with your mouse. And then you can just add, just go back to the standard fields here and just add the initials. So now that everything is, well, so here now we can just do a quick overview to make sure we're not missing anything. Again, the color tools really help for that.
Just another quick note, if you click anywhere on the document that's not on a field that you placed,
Yeah.
the menu on the right changes to a quick overview.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And it shows like blue and yellow on each page.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So you can just do that more quickly here.
Yeah. Now, if there should have been 2 yellows on a page, it's not going to show you in that view.
Okay.
It just shows you that there is yellow.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. All right, so then let's say we are ready to go. So you'll just press send here. It'll just take a moment. And there you go. So now it's sent. It's sent to yourself and your seller. So I'll just go, or your buyers, your clients. So I'll just show you, well, you'll have to sign yourself. So you'll get an email basically prompting you, the same as your seller would. Sorry, I should have had Gmail open before.
Do you usually put yourself first?
It doesn't really matter in our case, the order. You can choose the order to say, okay, you sign first and then your seller and then the other, but I don't really think that there's a use for that. So I just say, let me go back to see. I just have it so that everybody gets it at the same time. That's how it is by default, and it doesn't matter who signs first.
Oh, so you don't put signing order?
I don't put a signing order. You can put one if you'd like. I haven't found it to be a necessity. I don't know. In your case, have you found that?
Are you asking Erin? I've always put myself first, and I always put signing order if there is one. I didn't realize you could send it all at the same time. But I have a question for you. In Docusign, husband and wife, do they still need 2 separate addresses?
I think in Docusign you don't have to, but Erin, you can confirm.
I've heard that you don't have to have 2 separate email addresses, but I don't really know how it works without 2 separate addresses.
I guess if you put signing order, it would go to the address.
Yeah.
They would sign, and then it would come to the address again.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't know that it works. So
no, neither do I.
It.
Maybe we should test it sometime.
I was going to say, yeah, why don't we try that? Here, let me do a new envelope. So, we'll add, so let's do this manually in this case. So we'll say Nicole. And then we'll add another one.
I don't know if it'll work with your email address because you have an account.
Oh, fair enough. James didn't have an account.
Okay.
So let's see. So then we'd have to put the signing order.
Over to the left.
Oh, so here I just put 1 and 2?
Yep.
Okay, so I need to sign first and then him. So let's see. So we'll go to next. That's the longest part, is just getting the documents into the room and having them sent. Okay, so let's just do 1 initial here, just to see. Okay, so let's send that out. Okay, let's see. So here's just the default please Docusign, because I didn't edit the subject and I didn't add a note. Okay, so let's see. So we can close that. I'm gonna go back to the email and see we have a second request. Ah, and here's a second request. Yep, so I guess it does work.
Let's just make sure that the name is different when you sign.
Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah, because the title email, it did say Nicole. So
Yeah.
it's, I don't think you can do it. I thought I had heard that it was only Docusign that you can use one email address. Yeah, but I wasn't sure. So no, they have to have separate email addresses. So let's just go back to the email. Sorry. So now if we go back here, so it's going to say, for example, here, back to your envelope, it's kind of your review of this, like what stage it's at. So for example, the first one that we're looking at, it says it still needs my signature. So James signed. Oh, so Aaron signed, but James and I didn't sign. So it'll let you know who has signed and who hasn't. In this case here, Nicole signed, but James hasn't, as we learned, because it needs a separate email address. And then once everybody has signed, you can go back into your documents tab here. So let me go into one that actually has full signatures. Sorry, look so slow. So this is actually an offer that's already closed, so everything is complete. So I can either, if I want to retrieve the documents, I can either go in envelopes, which is how I would normally do it, because that way you can see them sorted out. So this is an amendment from Feb 20th. This is an amendment, a revision on that amendment. Here's a counter offer, here's original offer. So if I want to know what I'm looking for, it'll automatically just be in one of those. So let's say I want to review the original offer paperwork. So I would click on the envelope and then click on view documents and then click on whichever form you want. It's going to take a minute to load. And from there, you can either download it or print it. And then if admin says, oh, you're missing the certificate, you go into your room and click on documents. and this is where the naming is really important. So you're going to scroll down and you'll see, so I have a few certificates. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 for this file. So if I hadn't named them accordingly, I'd have to kind of go back and try and piece it together to see which was which. So here I just
those documents in before.
Pardon?
I don't understand where all these documents came from.
Oh,
Sorry.
so no, that's okay. So the documents, that tab here, basically, you're going to have a version of all the original documents that you uploaded. You're going to have the version that has been signed, and then you're also going to have your certificates, so the digital signature certificates that admin needs.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this is like a transaction that's already completed. That's why you're going to see so many documents in here right now. So let's say admin says, oh, that amendment that you sent us, we need a certificate. So you can just go here, click on that. And then right here in the document actions at the top, you can just download it or print it.
Okay.
And I mean, I think that pretty much covers your main activities in Docusign. Erin, do you think there's anything that I'm missing here?
No, that's everything. I mean, like I said, there is a ton of different ways to use it. Like Nicole, instead of adding the people in the details tab, I add them in the people tab.
Oh.
It seems to function the same way. I didn't notice a difference. I didn't even know you could add them in the details tab.
Well, actually, that's a good point that you showed me the people one, because I just saw that in the details, and I had a listing that has 3 sellers, and there's actually only room for 2 sellers in the details. So I guess that's where the people would come in handy if you have more than 2. Yeah. Yeah.
So can I ask a question I should know the answer to? I think all my questions have been that, but the certificate, I've never done one. I don't know what it is.
If you always have your date, like if you always put the date field, a date sign field next to the initials and the signature, then you wouldn't need it. It's if you don't put that date sign next to the initials, that's
So
when
where do I find it?
Pardon?
Where do I find it?
The certificate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be under documents. Once something has been signed,
no, where do you find it in the beginning? I've never used it. Where is it? Is it in web forms? Is it in, or is it?
No, it's actually automatic. Sorry, it's automatically populated by Docusign once everybody has signed a certain envelope. So you don't. It's not something that you need to fill out. It's not something that you need to add. It's as soon as let's say you have your listing paperwork envelope and everybody signed it, Docusign automatically creates this certificate of digital verification for the signatures. It just magically appears in your documents tab.
It's just basically a certificate showing who signed on what date, at what time, from what IP address, things like that, just as a part of security for your clients, basically. Yeah, Kelly, it's like a receipt.
So no one needs to sign it. It just automatically comes up and goes with your file.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, if you've been adding the date signed field next to every initial and every signature, you would never have needed to know that this existed because admin wouldn't have asked you for it.
Just sometime if you miss the date signed fields, admin might ask you for this just because it puts the date and time that they've signed right on it.
Okay, so if admin asks me for it, where do I find it?
In the documents tab.
Yeah.
Okay, so say I didn't go through all of this, Docusign, and I did it without rooms and envelopes. I just sent it, the forms, Docusign, I had them downloaded, I sent them, I got them signed back, I added them to my package that I'm sending to KW. So all the dates are not in. They're just going to send it back to me and say, I need a date on this.
How did you say that you got them signed in that example?
So I just sent them the form. No, I was not in rooms. I didn't do envelopes. I had downloaded forms. I went into Docusign. I threw in the downloaded forms, sent them to them. They sent them back signed. I sent them to KW, and there's dates missing. And they asked me for a certificate. Would they? Or would they just send back, just say, there's something missing on page 3 and you need to date it?
No, so this isn't, they're not like the dates for like effective dates, it's for the signature dates.
Yeah.
But so if
So
you're not, if you're using the e-signature side of
Yes.
DocuSign,
Yeah.
just let me see. I'm just going in it to see where
Yeah, I'm
to
not sure.
find them.
See, I had one just recently. One person DocuSign, the other people don't do DocuSign. They only have one email address. They're not tech savvy. They go to their sister-in-law's. She prints it, they sign it, she scans it back to me. So that's the other side. So I was just sending him DocuSign after I got it back from them, downloading it, sending it to him for DocuSign, the second party.
So you wouldn't need anything for the second party in that case, because they're just signing. How are they signing it?
Second party is doing the DocuSign. First party did it just manually. Someone
okay.
printed it off for them, they signed it. She scanned it and sent it back to me. And then when I got it back, I downloaded it and stuck it in a DocuSign file, e-signature, to the second person. So if there's dates missing on that when I send it to KW, what would KW ask me for?
So if there's a signature date missing, Erin, I might have to defer to you because I haven't used it from, I think I used it once from the web form side.
They would ask for the certificate. I'm just trying to figure out how you find it in the e-signature side.
And now my screen is completely frozen.
Because after the fact, I can't add a date.
Well, it's not adding, you wouldn't need to add a date. It's just trying to retrieve the date that they signed it.
Okay, so I just found it. It's a little bit more complicated than in the room side.
Okay.
So in the e-signature side, if you just, like if you click on the Manage tab, there's a big old list of everything that you've done. So if you click on the one that you're needing the certificate for, then there's a More button.
Is there somewhere I can go on my end to help?
Yep, so if you go, wait, let me zoom back up. Okay, so Nicole,
Yeah.
If you go back to the DocuSign tab,
Yeah.
and then click on your photo in the top right corner, and then switch to e-signature.
Ah, okay. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, so this is the other version that has less organization. Okay, so if you click on Manage at the top, and then on the left, click Completed, or actually it doesn't, you can just click the 22 New Harbor Lane because that has a check mark. So that means it's completed. And then click More. And then I'm pretty sure it was History that I clicked on. And then download
okay,
certificate.
right here.
Okay.
There you go.
So it's not as easy. It doesn't just populate in your Documents tab, but
So
it is there.
The certificate is a DocuSign document. It's not a KW document.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. That clears up a lot because I thought it was somewhere in our forms that were.
No,
So-
no, it's just
That's one
something
better thing.
generated by DocuSign.
Okay. Okay. I'll figure that out if I ever need it.
Yeah, and it would be, you probably wouldn't get asked for it until your broker review email, like the congratulations on your
exactly.
sale.
Yeah.
I don't think Joy would notice the missing signature date and timestamp. It would be one of the brokers.
Yeah, it's more for compliance.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get back into sales and I'll be able to remember something done.
Are there any other questions?
I guess my only other question is, do you recommend that I have not downloaded all my web forms. Do you recommend that they be in downloads for easier grabbing?
Not necessarily. We did that just for the purpose of this test, because if you don't want to have to fill everything out by hand, like all the fields that you'd have to fill out, it would be really long to do that in Docusign. So I'd recommend populating your forms in web forms and then just downloading that PDF each time.
Okay, after you fill it out.
Yeah, because to use the blank templates and fill it out in Docusign, it would be a lot longer.
Yeah, and you avoid the risk of an updated form that you missed or something.
Absolutely, that
Yeah.
too. Although that could be a risk in web forms too.
Like that. Okay. No, that was good. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you very much for your help, Erin.
No worries.
And take care, everybody, and stay safe.
You too.
Okay.